in the beginning of learning this, do you remember how we generalize the nodes? I say we, this is the we, where we are, and how we see. But it's also about direction. We call this direction. Past direction for south node, the horseshoe pointing down, the big part of the horseshoe pointing down. Future direction for the north node pointed up. Ra would use the Vedic astrology term. Rahu, so I link it to Rahu, brought human design for the future. Rahu is the north node. South node is called Ketu. Ketu, and this is actually a mythology in Vedic astrology where Ketu is the tail of the dragon. Rahu is the head of the dragon. And there's this story about the gods all sitting around, and Rahu was actually this, I think it was like a demon, and he snuck into the party with all the gods, and they're all drinking this nectar. And this demon got a little bit of the nectar right before his head got cut off. And that's why they still are alive as far as what this energy is about, mythologically. Okay, so Rahu is seen in Vedic as being greedy or demonic. Here in human design, we don't have that kind of labeling. We have North Node as a directional force, and nodes themselves are actually like windows or portals into the outside or extracellular matrix of our localized solar cell, as in our solar system. It's not a planetary aspect. There are imaginary portals in space. There's nothing physically there, but it's an imprinting that connects us up with the greater outside, so the stellar matrix outside of our local solar system. This means then that the energetics of your incarnation, where we connect up with the external life, the rest of the totality, where we are an aspect, this is part of us, but also what we're here to connect up to. So on the physical body side, the unconscious in you, these are portals of where you're moving from and where you're going to. So the nodes of the moon on the body side is your physical environment, the path that you're walking. It's the same road in life. It's just labeled something different on one side, the beginning of the life experience, versus after your midlife, between 38 and 44, your Uranus opposition, it's labeled a different name, but it's still the same road, just like those really big cities where the road is labeled something on one side, crosses a street, and now it's, something else. This is the same thing. They're always exactly opposite in the wheel, just like your sun, earth are. So the linking that happens can only happen when you're operating in integrity, in alignment, in accordance with your truth, your inherent nature of sovereignty, which is being your own authority. When you don't operate correctly, you've got frustration, anger, bitterness, disappointment as a signpost. What's happening then is that your monopole cannot hold you, physical you, and body you and mind you together, because what happens is then we have the transference that we've been talking about, discussing, color getting skewed. So we won't go into the deep base and tonal transposition here or link node crossover analysis, but at least learn what these positional imprints can do for us in life, because the nodes can do so much more than just talk about the path that we're walking, the design side, and the way that we're seeing, the personality nodes. It's how you see. It is not necessarily your people, tribe, or whatever people might mislabel or think they happen to be. This is actually seeing on the personality side, the black nodes, and the design side, the body. It's the environmental context or frequency, the environment where you are nourished from the outside in, and it increases the level of longevity if you're in the right place, because it decreases the resistance. So this is the place where energetically, if you're attuned to this, things are going to go much more swimmingly for you. And oh boy, isn't it true? I have so many stories I could share with you. Other people's stories, Ra tells stories. I have stories of being in the wrong place frequency wise and things just going to shit, unfortunately. So this is very practical on that level, as in the more that you can attune to what's right for you, where is right for you and who, because physically on the body side, these are literally beings that are in your life on the path that you're walking. These nodes, particularly these link nodes, the other two that are not shown are called prime nodes. We're not going to go into that. These link nodes hold us together in the illusion of our separateness from totality. Now, Ra says this quite often. We are held together in an illusion of separateness. What's holding me to me and you to you is your G center. It's magnetic monopole. Okay. Everyone has a magnetic monopole, whether or not you have a planet in gate 2. It's simply that if you do not have the G center colored in, then you may seem or feel directionless. If you are like Laveena and you have an unconscious G center activation, as in that channel is fully unconscious, or maybe even partially unconscious, you only get awareness of the black side if you have a gate that's black. But if it's partially or fully unconscious to the G, what you're looking at is you as a personality may not be aware of your own identity too. It's just part of what happens. So we're just going to get an orientation to design and personality as far as what Ra would call the cross of life. So we have the sun at the top, we have the earth down below. Yeah, our core essence, in this case, it's black, so awareness, motivational frequency. And so too, it's grounded in what is most earthy or grounding for us to be aware of. Sun and earth. Earth is at the bottom. And then we have the south node over on the right-hand side here. And we have the north node over on the left. North node at left because this is the design side. The south node at right because this is the personality side. And when we look at our database calculations, personalities over on the right in black, the designs over on the left. When you're looking at this, Ra says that this is the root of life. It's the source, and this is where life goes. This comes from advanced mechanics. So hang out with me a little bit, bear with me. We're going to do our best to get an understanding of the crystal theory. These crystals of consciousness, they are not actual physicality. They're dark matter. But this is the eternal you. See the personality crystal riding around on top of the vehicle. There's a reason that the head center is outside of the body graph. It's outside because the personality crystal is riding around on top of the vehicle, the body. And both of these crystals, they interact with the neutrino ocean. There are prime crystals of consciousness within our body. Every cell in your body actually has a crystal. So the neutrino ocean that we're all swimming in, we can't see it, but it's always bombarding you and me. We have to consider the fact that this ocean that we're swimming in, it's a moving informational feed, an ocean. You could say swimming in the pool, but it's all swimming. We're all moving. Everything's moving at incredibly high speeds. We can't even comprehend it. We seem to be sitting still, but we know that our ball of earth is hurtling through space, right? Spinning like a top and also spiraling around the sun as the sun itself is also moving. So everything moving, everything vibrating. And we cannot see it, but these frequencies, these little neutrino packets of information, 70% of that comes from the sun and it's grounded into this earth. And so when we get this informational feed inside of our body, you, me, everybody, we're all filtering this consciousness data stream. And the information that Ra labeled the neutrino beam stream. I loved it when I heard him say that. I'm like, oh, yes, that I can grasp. But it's very, very, very small. It moves through these dark matter objects. And at those two different points of calculation, when you were born, the personality imprint, 3 months before that moment, the design imprint, the physical body, its nature of its physicalities, physiology. These are the crystals of consciousness. You can learn more about this in many different aspects of human design. When it comes to the deep layering, I won't go too deep, but this is part of the beginning that you would have gotten in Rave ABCs at this level, at least, of understanding the two very different, unique crystals of consciousness. Now, the personality crystal is eternal. The design crystal gets recycled, is one place that I heard Ra say that. Now, there's a lot of different places that Ra talks about this material, and he evolves, obviously. So another thing that he says about the design crystal, it's within the earth that it gets recycled. Personality crystals, they actually either wander the earth if they didn't have their Bardo stage, or they're still up there where they came from. Oh, you see behind me that little poster there, if you ever see the Godheads, there's these bundles of crystals. And so all of us come from a specific bundle. And the reincarnative journey, if we do get reincarnated, we go back up to those crystals of consciousness and we can get reincarnated. But once you're dying or you have died, the crystal itself, if it doesn't have its Bardo stage, doesn't get picked up by its primary crystal bundle, it wanders the earth and still, you know, meddles with humanity, you could say, depending. And that's a whole nother story. When we're looking at the body, which again is the life, this is the design crystal living in the ashna. Oh, biologically speaking, we're looking at with the head center, it's your pineal gland. With the crystal of consciousness that is design, it is the pituitary glands. So the entry point into a neutrino, we call that base. It's a very special entry point in that base is where it meets the physical crystal. When that beam stream from the neutrino, the breath of stars, the energy coming through, when it enters into the base, it produces a frequency. So frequency in human design, we speak in terms of flows of energy. That's why you hear Ra say life force channels, flows, like channels of energy. And this is laid out in how the human design system shows us how we beings are programmed. So through vibrational resonance, you hear me say words like frequency, harmony, sound, resonance, tonal quality. And it's like a kind of precise word formula phrase, sound formulas that help us understand these thematics. So the neutrino enters into the base. The inner architecture of the crystal we call tone, and tone is unique in every crystal, the inner architecture of the crystal tone. However, we still can split it up into general themes, the general themes of in the triangles outside of the color that we've been talking about. So base is the entry frequency, tone is the cognitive architecture that's unique, and then color is the exit frequency. And because color is unstable, easily transferred, when it's transferred, you don't get access to tone, unfortunately. And that's when your color being transferred, everything gets dumbed down. So unfortunately, we have more resistance. We don't think clearly. We don't behave rightly as in accordance with the right action. And what to do? Nothing but see it, witness it, be aware of it. Not that there's something bad or wrong with you. Everybody transfers and everybody gets homogenized and dumbed down. It's simply about awareness at this level. And the awareness makes such a big difference. It's everything when it comes to your human design awakening and alignment with right action so that you can make the right choice at the right time or decision-making process that is based in the body, not in the mind's process. We just want to talk about how nodes are the key. They are more than just directional. The matrix that's there in that nodes, those nodes that are there in those nodes, oh, it's such a beautiful spiritual experience to get, because what it does for me is it connects me up with the greater totality, the experiential reality. I mean, you see literal proof of your connectivity to very key players in your life. Looking at your sun and earth and seeing your own sun and earth in somebody else's nodes, the exact precise number quality, gate and line. You're looking at a connective field between you and them, and also they with you. And so this is one of the things, they're incredibly profound, these nodes. They connect us up to the greater cosmos and the eternal nature of us swimming in a sea of consciousness that seems to be that we are separate, and yet we are not. It is a connective field. And that's what the mechanics of Maya shows us, our connectivity, and how we are connected to and through the neutrino ocean, the imprint of the solar sea, and the greater extracellular matrix, the star field outside of our little spiraling through space and time solar system. So they're different. They're not physical. They may be mental, because this is where we see, but over here, this is like laying out the path, whether it be a red carpet, or whether it be a really challenging sea that you get to swim in, where it's just not, no compatibility. As in, some of these roads are really hard. They don't relate to your mentality or your body. It's just a very different kind of experience. We're all built perfectly, by the way. If we think of our solar system as a single cell, the nodes of the moon, that's what they are. These are points in space of the nodal trajectory based upon the place in space that they happen to be. So we're looking at the form principle of the nodes on the body side, and the mind, the passenger principle, the witness consciousness on the mind side. Nodes don't simply align us to the movement of our lives. They shape us. They form us. They give us an awareness, a consciousness. They are so much more than directional. I could wax poetic about all the nodes. And I'm so lucky that I get to teach this with you, because then I get to hear somewhat of what this physicality is aware of too. Again, base orientation shows some of in this diagram, some of the ways in which we can analyze and show the connectivity. But really, we're just wanting to focus on two things. One thing, this thing over here, is really I would say, critical to be aware of in my personal experience. There's a class we call fixed stars in human design. And fixed stars is Ra would analyze at the body level, this north node, your human design fixed star as a very important point of imprinting. So generally speaking, you use the software, you go find where that point in space is, and then you look for the nearest fixed star. A fixed star is a star that doesn't move, relatively speaking, very, very minorly in the nature of our very short span of aliveness. But there's a star that the body is oriented to as far as directionally speaking. And it showed, for me anyway, it showed so many things about my life as far as, why does this happen to me? Or what's going on here? Why is this desire there? And it felt like a really powerful point of awareness, place of study. I started in 2017, and now that I get to teach it, it feels like a really important key for people beyond the basic type, strategy, and authority, and channels, and so forth and so on. So what they do, again, the North Node holds us together here, linking you physically with you personally. This is the only place that your personality connects up with your physicality, with your body. The orientation allows for an integration of these two parts together into a holistic whole, because it seems to be mentally that I am an identity and this is who I happen to be. Unless you're studying or experimenting, you generally don't get the body as you, as being a part of what you're here to do or who you are. You are unaware of the physicality, the form principle. It's just operating under the surface, kind of like when you're driving down the highway and your mind is all lost in space, thinking, while your body is just driving you to your destination. Your body can act of its own accord, especially when you've got a lot of physical, unconscious channel activations where it's just doing its own thing. And what happens is the mind is very surprised at how the form shows up. You can be surprised because you're unaware of what is there. It's like when Laveena gets all hopped up on preaching and there's this unconscious inspirational channel, and I have to listen back to my own recordings to hear what I actually said. This is what it's like for me anyway. So you might get it differently physically because, you know, that's my body connected up to my throat, my identity as a teacher. And so that's my personal experience. The two parts, it's an illusion that we are separate from totality. We are part of the all that is. And it's also an illusion that the mind is separate from the physicality. The mind works on the brain-body system. Without a healthy brain-body system, then we get corrosion at the personality level, as in, oh, such insane things people say. I can remember back in the day not being aware of how very skewed the mental distortion and perspective is, and then starting to become aware, starting to teach, starting to hear the disconnect. I believe this, well, I also say that, and I also do this, like this, all this mash up of disassociated consciousness that isn't aware of its own hypocrisy. I am attuned to that in others. I see it because I have a 6-line personality nodal environment as well as the color underneath. So when somebody's at a disconnect with what they say they think they do or should do or have to do or must do, and what they're actually doing is so far from the truth that there's a schism, it's just one of the things that I happen to see. And I saw it in myself too. And it's one of the things that I see changing, not only in myself, but in the people that I'm so blessed to be on this journey with, where I watch you as you can decondition and align to your ability to see through the false narrative of the ego I that lies inside. So how we do this, practically speaking, in the experiential realm of being your own authority in human design, you'll hear me say, my mind is thinking or saying or whatever. My mind's telling me a story. And that's my signal to other people like you who are experimenting that I don't necessarily believe this mind story for me. Now, when my mind is coming up with stuff for an other, so long as it's part of my outer authority, it's the unique differentiated perspective given to an other without an agenda. I'm not trying to force you, manipulate, push you, get you to do something for me. It is all about you, as far as my focusing on getting you to be aware of you. You know yourself fully, truly, innately, deeply. You're the only one who can. I can't. Not certainly I can't know everything. You are the only one that can know you for you. So this holistic whole that we are, it might be a touchstone here or there. Because see, if you're undefined in the nodal activations, I show you. When we look at a body graph, here with Laveena, I need just me by myself, please. Okay, here. When you look at somebody's body graph and you see these nodes of the moon that are in centers that are undefined, this means then those gates are not defined. To be technically correct, the only thing that is defined in the body graph are the channels. Channels are the definition. It is the life force. So the moment you see nodes of the moon in undefined centers, there's this potential for it being there as inconsistent, the path of the body and the way the mentality sees, or not. And most of the time it's an or not for me, unless I'm in physicality with someone who connects me up at this level. So what happens when the nodes of the moon are in undefined centers is that it's very easy for the personality, this being, to experience a life that is where the spirit is broken. When we talk spirit in human design, we're literally speaking to the nature of your auric frequency, your tendency, your awareness to have the spirit of abundance arise from inside the body. For me, success. For you, maybe it's that too, or this peace that is your signature of your type, manifestor. The satisfaction of you being a generator. Who am I for myself? You know, that's your spirit. But it's easy for the spirit to be broken if these nodes are in undefined centers. It means then that there's more dependency. A projector really requires the right person in their life anyway, in order to be who they are for the other, because that's what they're here for. Know the other, not thine self. Know thine self is the generator. So if you have nodes outside of definition, like me, of any type, it's much easier for you to have to go through frustration, anger, bitterness, because it's just part of the nature of being, disappointment. Reflectors are a very different creature. I do not have enough data to be definitive about them, but they still have nodes in undefined centers. So what does this mean? It means then that it's very important that you have the right people in your life, especially for a projector like me, who is the other, having the right correct people to guide and manage their energy, however it is correct for me to advise and guide them. It brings the sweetness, because without that kind of recognition of the right person, life is only bitter and it's misaligned, mismatched energy. So recognition, always a two-way street. And that's one of the practical points of recognition I have, that it felt to me like it should be at the very beginning of my training. And I only learned this at a very deep level. So my apologies, anybody who thinks it's inappropriate that I bring it up at this point, but what to do? I feel it right for me to share with you. So the integration of those parts of your being. It's very special, this relationship that the nodes have to your life's work. We've been spending the last couple of weeks talking about your life's work at a layering underneath the line level. Yeah, the line is informed by the color. The color gives us an architectural, I like that, an archetypal, but really the architecture underneath the line quality. It gives us this archetypal framing or naming. Doesn't mean that you have to go out there and, in this fourth color case, start prophesizing to everybody. Or if you're a preacher like me, that you have to start preaching. No, you don't really have to do that. It's just being aware of what is there, what can flow from you unconsciously. The reason that you are being who you are for others, for yourself, to impact, the reason for you living this life. So color is such a special place, because it tells us, it informs us how we read our lines, to be literally living as yourself, okay? The I of the body principle, the nature of being in this life. Remember, the body has one life to live. That's it. One precious life. How is this body going to live? It's one precious life. The nodal orientation through link nodes means that there is a connection of your life's work, your life's purpose, the Incarnation Cross. It's literally lived through you being in the right place, nodes, as yourself. So this means that when you enter into things in alignment with your type, strategy, and authority, simple keys, experiment, try it and see. When you're operating correctly, not only do you align to this internal, okay, this is the internal process of your being, but there's also an external process of your being. And that's the unconscious labeling, framing. So we have the internal brain-body system, and then we have the correct geometry or positioning, our place in space, moving along the path in our trajectory in a direction in life that helps us get to that place where we can see clearly. Because if you're not in the right place, and this is not, oh, I'm a shores person, so I got to move to Hawaii and live on the beach. Nope, it's not like that. It's a sensitivity to the nature of the frequency outside of you, as in, how does this body glide through life? Rob would call it the projector glide, when the projector is in aligned form. It's like, oh, they're just gliding. How are you connected? Are you driving along in your fast speedster and attempting to go off track, as in off-roading? Ooh, that's not going to be correct for you. Everybody you're built perfectly for your path. And what this automatically does when you are in alignment, attunement, living in right action, or in accordance with the nature of your truth, What happens is your body does this automatically. You don't have to figure it out. You will naturally gravitate towards those things that are right for you because your body knows what to do. It's like a fish swimming in the sea knows not to jump onto the sand. Well, that's a bad, now I've got beached whales in my mind. Who knows why they do that? But when it comes to being in the right place and in the right timing, everybody has their own physical attunement, knowing intrinsically. You can trust your body. What you can't trust is the mind thinking about the self inside the head about the self. That's the thing that's distorted by all the openness. So the link nodes here, you can see connecting, again, north node and south node. It tells us a story. And the story is part of how you're going to live out your great archetypal nature of what you came here to do. The personality then has all kinds of dilemmas if it's not properly put in the back seat, so to speak, as far as what Ra gave us as a way of understanding our nature of awareness, consciousness, passenger consciousness, that the passenger is simply a witness. It's not the controller. It's not the decider. Because there is so much going on at the body level, the awareness principle happens just a fraction of a second right afterwards. I'm thirsty. I reach down. I think I am in charge. I reach down to get the glass of water. But the body decided before the mind was aware that it was going to do such thing. That's how it works. And they've done studies too that explain this. That we can also, it's an illusion that the mind plays tricks on itself, you know, as far as us having free will. So we're back at the story of remembering something about the nodes. They're not an actual object in space. They are positional calculations, a portal through the stellar background field that surrounds us, a portal, a window. They're more than just directional. They're pure filtering agents of the neutrino ocean. What this means, quite literally, is that there's nothing in the way, unless, of course, there's something in the way. And you might have this. You might have a planet in front of one of these nodes, as far as, actually, it wouldn't be in front because the nodes are very close to the Earth. So it would be the planet behind that imprinting, where the nodes of the moon are actually getting that feed of the planetary energy. I don't have anything like this, but some people do. And remember I was telling you the little story about Rahu and Ketu? The nodes are said to kind of swallow that energy. And I don't have a lot of detail or Ra telling us a lot of backstory on what it means for having, let's say as an example, many of you know Naraya as one of my people here in the work. She has an Earth as the same activations as her nodes. That happens. It's not an uncommon thing. So there's a swallowing effect or a hiding of an veiling or an inability at some juncture to really get a sense for that energy, and maybe even more difficult to attune to when it's on the body side, the unconscious. What I have heard from one of my teachers is that anytime you have a planetary activation in front of the nodal place, that this is a karmic, because nodes are karmic. Karmic meaning past life. They are developmental, as in they develop over the life experience, because we move from south node, the emphasis at the first part of the life, to north node, the emphasis at the second part of the life. So that in and of itself, quite an interesting, fascinating thing, especially for someone like me who's interested in karmic and reincarnation and such since childhood. But who knows, really, truly, how do we know? Because these nodes are not objects, they're simply pure filtering energies of the neutrino ocean, then these nodes represent an imprint that is, in a sense, universal, as in, when you incarnated, everybody around that 3-month window had similar nodes to you. So it's not some planetary archetypal god, Venus, Jupiter, you know, Mars, Mercury. It's not flavoring you. Nodes are these trans-solar calculations, as in it's going outside the cellular matrix of our solar system. So the unconscious nodal frame shows us your path that you're walking in this life. Who are the characters that are going to be there on your journey? It shows the quality of the environment, what you're going to attune to. This is a really good word to use here. I love it when I learned this as far as attuning. What are you going to tune to or attune to? Because it shows you where you fulfill your life's purpose. So, little story. I could tell this story all kinds of ways, but in short, there was a man, maybe 7 or 8 years older than me. I still remember looking up into his eyes as I was a young, early 20s being, looking up into his eyes when he came in asking for a job application. And this man, decades later, left me a giant inheritance because I was the one that helped him change careers, helped him have his eyes fixed, as in paid for it, took care of him, and allowed for him to change into the firefighter that he had always dreamed of being. And so he left me his pension when he left. And we never married. We had a relationship. It was short and sweet, but we never married. And he left me a giant. I mean, to most people, it would be considered to be giant. His exact sun earth on the body side were my nodes on the body side. This is where I am fulfilling my purpose with him because this is part of my destiny, my personal destiny. Now, I'm not saying that everybody you have a connection with, you're going to get an inheritance. That's not what I'm saying. If I look at it from the Vedic astrology perspective, I can absolutely see that that time frame would have been a receiving of a tremendous amount of energy. Money is simply energy. But it's part of what allowed me to put so much money into and time into my education to become the human design teacher that I am now. And nodes are an alignment to information. What are people but packets of information? A part of the neutrino ocean. This nodal alignment originates in a whole different frame or contextual reality. This is the unconscious physicality. The positional calculations of the nodes show us our connectivity to everything. Everything. It's the we. It's the we in our sea of vulnerability or nature of reality or whatever you want to say about that. Now, on the personality side, this conscious nodal framing, that's a different story. This is the way that you see along that path in your trajectory. This is how you see. This is what you resonate to as far as seeing the characters, body side, characters, personality you're seeing as you're watching your life movie. So for me, I told the story earlier in our class that I tend to see hypocrisy because it's a 6-line energy. I can see it personally in me too, because this is my personal perspective. Conscious nodes show you the quality of your potential clarity of awareness. It's the internal framing, how you take in life and process it through your ability to get to that awareness principle at the sun-earth level. So it's how you take in life. It shows us who you resonate to as far as how you fulfill your life's work or your life's purpose with the other. Because we're not here to be all alone in our separateness. We literally need each other. Even the most individual, self-centered bastard has a mother or a father and a child or a brother or whatever the case may be, lover. You know, we need each other. What we owe to each other is to be ourselves uniquely, differently, and so special and giftedly, even if other people think, why are you so weird? You know, or, you know, they don't approve of you. Nobody's going to approve of everybody, everything everybody does. So in essence, this is the way to approach comprehending the nodes of the moon. This is the work of the magnetic monopole. Again, remember, north node and south node, holding us together in the illusion of our separateness at gate 2, holding you together in what it is to be you. We are not separate from totality. In this little tiny, apparent, finite reality, we get this one precious life in this physical body, but the personality is eternal. The personality gets life after life after life in all kinds of forms. 64,000 lives that each one of us has lived. There are no old souls. It's a phenomenon. It's something to comprehend when we talk about the design link node. It gives you a key to your life in so many ways. As a human design cosmology teacher, I was telling you that it's part of what I find very important to be aware of, your fixed star. Ra teaches that there are no rules for a nine-centered being. What is it to be a nine-centered being? We are Homo sapiens and transitus, so we are built on an architectural framing that isn't quite to the nature of the full-blown rave, the being that is coming. But we, you and me, we live a tripartite life process just like every other six out there because of this connectivity to the next iteration of our reality, the global cycles, the background frequency moving to six. All of us get that tripartite life process, even if we are not sixth in our line quality at the personality or design level. Quote, there are no rules about what the limitation is to be a nine-centered being. There is no such thing. There isn't. It's a mutation. When we think about the program, one of the dilemmas of dealing with the program all the time, because we are in it and of it, is that we begin to give it qualities that in essence it does not deserve. It is a perfect mutation. So we have the birth of a star and its system that has a deep connectivity to other stars, and that has the perfect positioning in terms of frequency to its satellites, its, planetary aspects, its moons, because the relationship it has to these other stars, maybe it's in a stellar binary or triplicity. There is a streaming, there's even quadruples I know out there, streaming of neutrino ocean information that is perfectly diversified by the construct of our solar system itself. Remember, everything, even inanimate objects, have these places, portals of connectivity to the all that isness. There is this neutrino feed, and each one of us is perfect in our filtering, seeing uniquely, being absolutely, utterly different. Divine divinity. I just love that capability of understanding. And it's not because it was planned according to Ra. And it's not because anything at any level could have ever expected it. It's what makes this so special. It makes us so special, we who are nothing but stars, because that's what we are. We are stars. And it is our design north node, which shows us the imprint of the star that we came from, the star that we are also heading home to. So if it's something that's interesting to you, I happen to be over here on the fringes of things, and not in the cluster of the middle where there's a lot more connectivity. This particular orientation of looking is a deep layer of the human design system, and it's something to behold, to be sure. Besides showing us our fixed star position through the design link node, your body, this vehicle presents itself as being available and useful to the passenger consciousness, witness consciousness. So the link node of the personality here, it opens up the potential in the sense to be able to accept the demands of this physical form, the demands of the physical plane. So my south node is gate 42. It's an ending of things. It is the ability to find growth through moving beyond such things as a limitation of the need for growth. There is this finishing of the cycle of experience that oftentimes come into my awareness, particularly when I'm advising others. What I find on my level of seeing is that I'm seeing people attempting to end things, and they want my advice on how to move beyond whatever challenge it is. Maybe they have a difficulty ending a project, ending a relationship, closing a business, moving on to transition. Oftentimes, a lot of people come to me at these transitional points in their life. They're entering into their Chiron or their Uranus opposition or their 30s Saturnian cycle. maybe their second Saturn. They're always at these cusp points, for me anyway, what I see. You don't have to judge anything inside of the body graph. It is completely amoral system. It shows us uniqueness and the differentiation of your form's capability, married to this conscious personality that is helpless, choiceless, swimming along in the sea of the apparent fundamental nature of this reality. There are shifts that take place the moment that these link nodes are aligned to the tonal cognition. And it's called tonal transposition, where they are swapped. And everything bringing us together, holding us together in this illusion of the separation from totality. Tonal cognition is your gem. It's your gold. It's the thing that, if we could but give everybody a glimpse into their tonal nature of reality and see the inherent beauty and truth of their unique differentiation, their form's cognitive awareness, their connection with the environmental capability, their awareness of seeing correctly, and then out popping their motivational frequency. Ah, what a world this would be. But it's not. It's not. Most people are running around dumb and dumbfounded, having no clear idea of who they are, what they came here for, what they were designed beautifully to be. And unfortunately, there's nothing to do, sad but true. I can't just tell you, hey, look at this. It is something that you have to experience and live and breathe inside of you. You decondition, you align, type strategy and authority. You having trouble with authority? Go over to primary health system, the brain-body system. And in this life, your cognition will start to emerge. Ra's promise to you, in 7 years, you emerge as a new being. Now, that's not to say everything's going to be hunky-dory and pretty and wonderful and juicy and lovely and great. No. In fact, the 8th year, I remember laughing when I heard him, was in my 9th year. The 8th year is actually quite hard. It's still another layer, peeling of the onion, you know? And there's nothing to do to hurry, to push it forward, to make it move faster. In fact, that can be very dangerous to do. Trust me, I tell you, I've done that the hard way, as in trying to force primary health system on a body that was not in the right place and doing damage to my physicality. So make sure that you get some guidance. It's nothing to play lightly with. It is something not to force yourself into. It is to go gently, quietly, calmly, peacefully, successfully, satisfyingly, whatever it happens to be. Take care of this body. It's the one precious body you have. It's your one precious life experience. To quote Ra, quote, cognition is your unique sensory capacity to discern what is correct for you in this life through your authority process. So when we're talking about link nodes, we're not just talking about the gate and the line. We are actually talking about the tones underneath, the cognitive difference. We're linking tones, and we're linking things to a very specific cognitive quality, whatever it happens to be for you. So we have 2 calculations here in the control panel. Again, this is one of the most advanced analyses you can get. It's called storyline analysis. And I would wait until after your Uranus opposition, after you've had some time in the experience. Please don't ask me to do this for you until you're really ready, as in you're really deconditioned, because otherwise it's just mind candy. It's not the point. I got mine really early, as far as relatively speaking. It was in 2015 or something, and I've been doing this since 2012. What you're looking at this control panel is that you have the internal I, okay? This is the dependent variable. Remember we say 4 variables, right? It's dependent on the movie, your story, your life existence. This independent variable stands on its own. We. This is the we, the stage of one's life experience. Nodes of the moon. It's a stage that you carry with you everywhere you go. So no matter where you go, there you are with your we connecting up to the all it isness. You always see, and you're always walking on this path, in this trajectory, this movement of all of us flying through space and time. seeming to be, in its illusory, that we are separate from the all that isness, or even indeed in this being in front of us. The we is the connectivity that we have as far as the practical takeaway for a storyline analysis at this level. We have two things to look at here. We have our life story and how you get there. So the design, let's see, North Node here, okay, design North Node and personality North Node. They have a relational dynamic. It's the future. It's what's coming. No worry. Don't hurry. It's coming. You don't have to try and rush to get there. Life is not a race. Guess what? At the end, you die. So, and what happens? Well, guess what? You die. So, you know, a little bit of a, what do you call that? Not a deal breaker, but you're missing the point if you're attempting to see what happens at the end. The life story, how you get there. There's these verbal activations as far as what like action is, the verb of being, you know, and the adjective shows you how you get there as far as the South Node on the personality side and the North Node on the body side. Those are your link nodes, your link nodes. They link you with you. How are you going to get there? Your link nodes. So design South Node, we haven't talked about these much, and personality North Node, those are the primes, your prime nodes. Link nodes, as we've been discussing, is how. How am I going to get there? And you know, a lot of people try to figure out the how before they're ready, before it's time. How am I going to get there? How am I going to be X, Y, and Z? It's right there in your body graph, and you don't have to hurry, force, or push there. You get there, wherever it is that you're going, because of your link nodes operating correctly. And thanks to our strategy and experimenting with being our own authority, we can. No guarantees, but Ra says, quote, you don't get there for any other reason. It's the link nodes that hold us together. So it goes right back to, how difficult is it going to be? And please, this is not a reason for martyring thyself, even though, you know, that was Laveena's when I first learned about this. And yes, enjoy the show. This is what the nature of this mental reality is. Poor me. I've got a place where my design can be broken. My spirit can be broken. Oh, you know, pity party in the not self. Now it's like, ooh, adventure. Ooh, who doesn't love a good challenge? You know, it's a very different thing to be oneself truly, unapologetically and unabashedly, and no worries. The adjectives, as far as how these work, if you take two adjectives and bring them together, you get the backdrop of your storyline. It's just there. Out of that, we build our movie. A backdrop with all its supporting characters, you know, it carries the tonal transposition, the swapping, where we have the storyline of a character, that's you, having an intelligence that moves through you. Life lives itself through you. It's not just dates or digits on a screen. This is your real life story that begins to carry a cognitive quality. And this cognition is something that you can absolutely have an approach to if you just go through type, strategy, and authority first, foremost, and always. But if you're a right-facing variable like me, brain-body system especially, dietary regimen is where it's at, or primary health system at the brain-body level. That's the first step. And cognition is an intelligent connection to the place, or an intelligent connection to the seeing or being as you're walking along that path in your trajectory, in your movie, dancing, singing, skipping, whatever it is that you happen to be doing. So verbs generally convey an action or an occurrence. It could even be a state of being. For me, that tranquility, it seems to be that what this body tends to do when life is falling to shit all around me, the way that it shows up is I get calmer, cold thirst. I rise to the occasion, fifth line, you know, general, savior. And there is a tranquility, a capability that no matter what challenges may bring, this ability to have the serendipity of being able to attune to how to transform in these radically shifting, changing times with some kind of equanimity. The fact that everything is changing so fast, so completely, so thoroughly, 40% of jobs being gone in the next couple of decades. I mean, this is a change like none we have ever seen. Of course, not any of us on this plane of existence in reality. So adjectives are going to be words that modify. It's the how you get there. It's the backdrop of the storyline. So you hear Ra telling stories. Stories are such great teaching tools. Ra wants us to look at our storyline, and you look at your cognitive potential, the thing in triangles, and think about your life process, your movie. So what were you like before you found your sovereignty? Before you knew about human design, before you got on this wild train adventure of learning about all of the unique, wacky things that make you unique. Now think about your storyline and this cognitive potential in relationship to the difference of what you're like today, conversely, comparatively, in the nature of your life, what were you like in past? Obviously, the longer you've been in it, the more different, the more unique you become. And the more sensitive you are in your capability, not only of being you, but also attuning to what's true about you. And each of us in our own differentiation, in our own sovereignty, in our own awareness, we have something to offer to the other. And this is the game that I love to play as far as the connectivity with you on this day. So if that brought forth any awareness, I'd be happy to hear if there's anything there that you would like to share.